You're muted, Kamilah.
I did a whole introduction.
And I'm like, where'd all the audio go?
I know I did a whole introduction and I'm on mute. Thank you, Steve. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. It is such a pleasure to be with you today. We have some new friends who joined us today in the Zoom chat. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm going to have them introduce themselves if they would like to. And listen, we're gearing up. It's August. We are less than 100 days away from election. So it's time to get in here and work hard and let's win the school board seat for District E. For those of you who are joining for the first time, thank you. My name is Kamilah Bywaters. I'm running for the Board of School Trustees in District E, and I have been very busy these past weeks just out in the community, finding new places to go in Summerlin. Y'all, there is a witch, a witch meetup. And I was like, hey, Khaldun, what you think about going to this event? He was like, nah, save that for your opponent. But anywho, the event was not in Summerlin. And I would have probably still gone by there to introduce myself to the witch meetup. And it seemed like they were just gonna have a cool, nice little meetup at one of the bars or something, but it ended up not being in my district. I definitely would have gone by. I have been to any event that's showing up in Summerlin that, you know, is community focused and people are gathering. I try to go and attend. I am going to attend. There's a meetup for a group of individuals who are into Bitcoin. So I emailed and asked if I could have permission to come to their event to introduce myself. So this Thursday, I'm hitting up the Bitcoin event meetup in Summerlin. So I'm going to have a great conversation with that group and introduce myself. And they're really excited. They're like, yeah, come on. And then there was another charity that's doing a scholarship for students in I think it's in the district for high school students. They're doing some scholarships. I was like, hey, can I come to your event and talk to the group? And they were really excited. They're like, hey, come on. So that's something else I'm going to be going to. So I'm being very intentional by making sure that I'm attending as many events and groups in Summerlin. I also have somebody working for me who volunteered to check out some of the senior residential places. So I'll be hitting that up. But at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and let co-host Rodney introduce himself. And then when Tracy gets on, she can introduce herself.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Rodney Smith, Kamilah's #1 fan of the #1 fan group, because it's a group of us #1 fans. So I would like to say I'm the #1 fan, but I'm the #1 fan in the #1 fan group for Kamilah. Hey, I am here. I've been out today. My daughter has COVID. I've been hanging with Miss Jamila Fowler, working on a fundraiser for this coming Sunday night, which Sister Kamilah Bywaters is going to be a part of. So if you all do not have, there it is. If you do not have your ticket, I need you to get your ticket, because it is a fundraiser for yours truly, Kamilah Bywaters. And it's this Sunday from 6 to 9 p.m., if it lasts that long, at the Westside Oasis, which is located at 808 West Lake Mead Boulevard. So I got tickets.
Let me write it down. Thank you for the surprise. I'm like, let me write down the event. It's on Sunday?
On Sunday. And it is being held by Miss Jamila Fowler. Many of you know her. She's one of those steadfast sheroes in the community, a real warrior. And I just left her house. That's why I'm a little tardy. We were just sharing, and she's about to have a birthday, y'all. She's about to turn the big something that's more than me. And but this Sunday, she says, hey, as long as I still have breath, as long as I still have life, that means I still have fight. And I want to fight for those people who are out there. And Kamilah Bywaters is one of those people that I want to fight for. So I'm putting this fundraiser together for her. And it's going to be a couple of other school candidates. But Kamilah was the catalyst for this. So naturally, she called me up and I said, I'm in and I'm willing to sell tickets. So I got tickets for sale. Get a hold of me, get your ticket. Tickets are, let me double check, $10 a piece. There'll be some snacks provided. Of course, if you would like a more robust beverage, I'm sure you can get one while you are there. But this will be a way for Kamilah Bywaters to introduce herself to more people, for more people to get to know her, because that's what campaigns are all about. So once again, it'll be this Sunday, August 11th, from 6 to 9, West Side Oasis. And if you don't have a ticket, please contact me because I have tickets to sell. So as you can see, I am not only saying that I support Kamilah Bywaters, but I'm going to put up some money and have put up a couple of dollars, and I will continue to put up a couple of dollars. And I encourage you all, because what is better to invest in than our children? We say our children are the future, and I say the future is now because they're going to school now. So if you got $10, please come on out and help us boost Kamilah Bywaters over the finish line so she can continue making history, just like Kamala Harris has made history. And just as she endorsed her vice presidential nominee, who is the governor of the great state of Minnesota, big shout out to my homeboy Thomas Berry for telling me he was going to be the pick, and he is the pick. And let me tell you, once he wins, he will make room for his lieutenant governor, which will be the first female governor of Minnesota and the first Native American governor in this country's history. So I'm going to dub this election the election of the female warriors, with Kamilah Bywaters at the tip of the spear. Come on out, y'all, and join me as we continue to help boost her across that finish line.
Thank you. I had a little bit of feedback. Listen, I was writing down. I did get a text message about a fundraiser, but I didn't realize it was for me. So I was like, well, let me write down the notes for the event that I need to be at. And like I tell people, I say, listen, wherever you need me to be, just tell me where. And if my schedule is open, I'll be there. So thank you. I really appreciate that. This is great. There are so many ways that you can help my campaign and other candidates who are running for office. You can phone bank, you can canvas. I write letters and do postcards, so you can do that. I have yard signs. So please, if you're in Summerlin, I need you to get a yard sign, because you're making a big statement in your neighborhood if you have a sign up and shows that you're supporting me. So please, if you need a yard sign, I need to come and I need to get that to you as soon as possible. Shaquilla's card magnet just came in. Okay. Joe Beth.
The sign is out there too. I don't care if I'm in District C, it's still out there. I'm going to take a picture too.
Yeah, please take the picture, so you know I got to put it on social media, because I do all my social media stuff. So thank you everyone for joining today. We're going to have kind of like a popcorn conversation because there's a lot going on. We do have some guests lined up for the end of the week. So next Tuesday, Assemblyman De Silva, Senator Flores, and I believe it's Commissioner McCurdy are hosting a fundraiser. So I'll be going to their fundraiser. And if anybody else would like to go and join, please do. Please understand that we need money. So we donate. And I try to, put it out there as well, because whatever I'm asking people to do for me, I'm doing the same for them, because I believe in that karma. So next Tuesday, we'll have a bye week, but then we're going to have a guest at the end of the month, Robin Turner. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist intern, and she's going to talk about adverse childhood trauma and how that impacts students as we're getting ready to start. Well, by that time, will we start school? Yeah, school will be started by then, but I think it's a great conversation to have for educators to really start to dig in deep to some of the behavior challenges that we may be seeing with our children. Oftentimes some of us may get into that, ooh, these kids are bad. Ooh, and I know I'm a teacher. I was in class. Well, I'm gonna let that go for the topic, but things happen. Okay. But sometimes we have to take a deeper look and understand if there are, some childhood traumatic experiences that our children are bringing into the classroom, and then how to deal with that. So Robin, this is her topic, this is her mission. So I can't wait for her to come on so we can dig deep into that topic. To those on Facebook, welcome. Thank you, Pastor West, for showing up. And also, Pastor West has a show too. So I want to make sure we get that information. If you could put it in the chat so we can make sure that we're supporting you. Hey, Tracy, I see you in the chat. I'm trying to figure out when you're going to be in the Zoom, but that's okay. I didn't call you out. And and just thank you. And then there's people in the chat that I want to introduce themselves if they would like to. So if you would like to introduce yourself, please, this is the time to do it. I want a big shout out to Assemblywoman Thomas. She's also in the Zoom, and I always am appreciative of her joining in and just taking the time to learn with us about what our community is saying. Steve, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm making my first donation as we speak. So hopefully you get some little thing that pops up that says you just got a donation.
Woohoo! Thank
yeah.
you.
My name is Steve Pastorino. I met Kamilah in a class at UNLV in the master's program maybe 3 years ago. It was literally my first class when I decided to go back to school after 30 years. And it was like first day of school and I didn't know anybody. And I sat next to Kamilah and she introduced herself and she said, I'm going to run for office someday. And I said, that's great. And ran into her earlier this year to tell her I was also her biggest fan of her biggest fan club. But
Hey, get in line.
Exactly. I rallied my family, including 3 children who just graduated from high school here in Clark County, to Kamilah's support for the primary. I went and listened to some of Kamilah's opponents for the primary, and that's when I discovered her Moms for Liberty opponent and realized that I have to get involved and I have to get my network involved, because we cannot have Moms for Liberty making decisions about our children. We need people that have experience. We need educators, etc. So anyhow, I'm just happy to call myself a friend of Kamilah. I took down all your info, Rodney, for the fundraiser on Sunday, and I'll see if I can't come out there with some of my family. And I will help in little and small ways that I can going forward. I do live in your district, Kamilah, and trying to think about how I can do something with some neighbors, get you in front of some folks.
Love that. I need that. Yeah, for sure.
So anyhow, I've done a lot of things over the last 7 years since I've lived here in Vegas with the Latin Chamber, and told Kamilah we got to get her in front of that group, because the kids of our Latin population, our Latin business owners, they're the employees who support all of the various enterprises here in Nevada. Their kids are in public schools and they deserve better than the alternative. We need experienced folks leading our school board. So enough of the division, enough of the name calling. Let's just get qualified, educated, smart people who really want to talk about our children and their outcomes, and not about politics, race baiting, etc. And the other thing we were talking about before everybody got on board is I joined the White Dudes for Kamala Harris massive Zoom call the other day.
Woohoo! Yes, I want you to please tell us about that.
I think there were 100,000 people showed up on the Zoom call. They raised $5 million in 3 hours. I can just speak for my children who have all sorts of privilege and whatever. They are so invigorated by Kamala being our Democratic presidential nominee, even though we were a loyal Joe Biden supporting family. To get young people involved, we needed something a little bit different. But the comment was made over and over again that Donald Trump and his team have co-opted this notion of white men that we're all hunters and we all look at women as objects and we all only care about ourselves, that we're selfish, that we're white Christian nationalists, like he doesn't speak for me, and how dare he attempt to. And so anyhow, I was on for the first hour, and Mayor Pete was on it. I think Governor Walz was actually on it. Just a slew of entertainers, politicians, and some every folk as well. Anyway, Kamilah, you've got plenty of support in this district, as is evidenced by your primary win, but the margin's really thin. And so I'll help you get the word out and try and bring folks to it. But let's get Latino Clark County out behind you as well, in addition to lots of other white dudes.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I listen, so the Black Women for the Nevada Black Women for Harris, we've been organizing and meeting every Monday. And all the women are like, hey, we want a white dudes for Harris hat. So as soon as we get our hands on them, we're going to be rocking those hats. But we are so excited. And I love, there's something that you said, Steve, that I think is really important, is that you all are not allowing Trump to dictate the narrative for white men. And I love that you are being a part of that movement, and white dudes are getting together to say, like, no, we don't, that's not where we are that's not where we are. And this is who we are. And I love that you're changing the narrative. And it's so important, because as I'm just looking at messaging, I'm just like, they're not even talking about, y'all know what it is. We're,
yeah.
it's just, the stuff that I'm seeing is just horrible.
For me, and Kamilah, when I saw you in the fall or in the spring at that educational event at the community center in Summerlin with a bunch of the candidates, I left your table and I walked over to Lorena's table, and I was literally insulted before I got within 5 feet of her, called every name in the book for having been on the liberal side of the room before I came over to talk to her. Like, I couldn't even talk to her because she was so degrading in how she referred to me and others who may support you, as opposed to Moms for Liberty. Moms for Liberty is dangerous. They are evil. And I decided at that moment that I'll do anything I can to make sure they don't get on the ballot, or they don't get on the board. And so between yourself and Eileen Eady, we've got to keep those 2 Moms for Liberty candidates off of us.
And also, we need, and Trisha Braxton, who's running for state board. I literally, like yesterday, just put the face with the name, and oh my gosh. Yeah, I did. I was like, what is his face? And I went to go look at his face, Anna, and I was like, no, not him. Not him. He's the worst. So it's all 3 of us. Kamilah Bywaters, District E, Eileen Eady, District B, and Trisha Braxton running for state board education. I believe, I look at her district first. I think it's 1, but let me check. But you know what? That day, Steve, when you came over and talked to me at the event, and then you went over there to talk to them, I was like, yeah, go over there and talk to them. And I saw you walk away from them, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't think that went great. And my heart, I was just like, somebody needs to help them. Like, their tactics, just who they are, is just not what we need. Like, we need people who are going to bring us together and build unity. So thank you for being the sacrificial lamb, because that was just out of order. But because I do remember that day. But yes, we do need all hands on deck. Did anyone want to say anything else before I wanted to talk about a meeting that I just went to last night that really just blessed my whole heart, and I wanted to share like what happened there. But anybody else wanted to say something about what we've been talking about so far? We've talked about white dudes for Kamala, and Steve was talking about his experience with that.
Hey, Kamilah, I just want to insert really quick while the other people are getting ready to talk, is what Steve said, though, and the way you encapsulated it. It actually reminded me of the white supporters of Martin Luther King back in the day. And I'm not sure if everybody realizes it, but oftentimes when Dr. King would have his marches, there were white people who would be marching in front. And the reason why the white people were marching in front was to make a statement that they're there to support. But it also was a security issue because they knew that they would be attacked. And they knew that they would be the first ones to be attacked. So they were showing their support for Dr. King by marching in front of him, showing that they were willing to take blows for him. And I was listening at what Steve said on how he was treated after he left your area and went where the MOL people were. And it just reminded me of that level of sacrifice that white people, were willing to make for Dr. King, and that Steve was willing to make for you. Now, we often say every generation has their turn to propel this country closer to what it says that it is. And Steve sounds like he's representing this generation in moving towards the same thing that those before us did. So big shouts out to Steve and all of the other Steves out there that I may not know.
Wait, so now is it Steve's for Kamala? Do we need another new group?
Yeah, that's what he said earlier. He's like, we need a new group. I was like, please do. I welcome it.
And you know, Rodney, I'll just like to transition over. I'm still the white woman in the community that Moms for Liberty say is their number one enemy. So I'll continue to probably wear that hat until.
Hey, and you know what, Anna? So I'm gonna do this. Just like how white people marched in front of Dr. King to take the licks, for you, I will march before you and let them come through me first.
Oh, well, fortunately, we haven't. I mean, we've seen some really bad days, right, Kamilah? There's been some bad days in that boardroom with those people, and we definitely cannot, let them succeed. So
Yeah.
there's people that I even never thought that are like, hey, who am I voting for up in B? Because I'm not Moms for Liberty, and they're hearing the momentum up there in that one too. But all we can do is push back, fight, join, with each other and support each other and just keep trying to move forward. Fortunately, they are not the majority of our community, and that's probably the line that I'll continue to hold is and we have a local group that started. I think I told you guys about that. Like, there's a national Stop Moms for Liberty, but they have a Nevada chapter now, and they're very well organized. And honestly, it's been so refreshing to just hear other people in the community not be aligned with them. And so I have faith that the wonderful people in our communities are going to come forward and help out, as we move forward into November. So super excited for that.
Yeah, I think after people learn about just the lack of regard for just basic humanity, they're like, oh, I'm all on board. And that leads me into last night, I went to Sun City Liberals, which they're voting Democrat all across the ballot. But oh my goodness, y'all, that meeting blessed my whole entire soul. I went to Sun City Liberals, older community in Sun City, and I was not prepared because typically when I go to like the club meetings, there's not a lot of people there. So I have like a few cards, and I was like, oh, there's not going to be a lot of people here. So let me just take this. I get there with a few cards, like maybe like a little, I probably had like maybe 50 cards, and the room is packed. And Assemblywoman Shay Backus introduced me to the leader of the group, and his name is Norm, and he was like, okay, Kamilah, you're going to get your time to talk. You got 2 minutes. We're going to let you talk 2 times. Thank you. Cool. So we get to the first introduction. I introduce myself, and then we go again to go to the front. He said, all the candidates come up and talk. And I did my little spiel. They had this poster that said what they believe our America is. And it was like all the beautiful things that we believe. Like we believe in diversity. We believe in celebrating people with disabilities. We believe in Black Lives Matter. We believe in women's rights. It was all of the things that we are. And I just talked about that. I was like, I'm Kamilah Bywaters, running for the school board of trustees. And I believe I am that, in that image pretty much sums up everything who I am and what I want to support. And my 2 minutes were up, so I moved on. This lady gets up. She raised her hand. She gets up. She says, you know, I'm having such a struggle finding out about who you are. And she said, I happened to find a YouTube video of you at an interview. And she was like, girl, you rocked that interview. And then she said, I went to go look up your opponent. And she was like, oh my gosh, there is no way. We need you. And here she goes. She said, tell him who you are, Kamilah. She's like, tell him who you are. And I was like, oh, well, you know, Norm gave me 2 minutes, but I'm going to go. And I went through, you know, my whole spiel, my degrees and education. She's like, let the people know who you are. And then she sits down and she's like, Kamilah, tell him you went to Howard. She knows my whole bio. She was like, tell him you went to Howard, Kamilah. And I was like, I went to Howard. And it blessed me so much because when she did that, and it was a white woman, when she did that, she opened the space for me in that room. At the end, every single person in that room came, was like, let me get your card. Let me get your card. We're going to do this and that for you. But it just showed how people invite you into their space. And because this lady valued me so much, everyone in that room valued me a little bit more because of what she said. And I didn't have any more cards. And she actually took most of the cards. So I didn't have any to pass it to everyone else. But I'm going to make it an effort to be at every single meeting as much as I can. Let me not say every single one, but as many as I can, the Sun City Liberals, because the way that they treated me and invited me into their space and will invite me into other spaces was phenomenal. And it just did something for me last night. Wow, it really did. But it shows like how important each of us are in inviting people into spaces. So I wanted to talk about that. But anywho,
I'm glad that you did,
yeah.
because that's a powerful statement. I put in the chat that this election, we talk a lot about gloom and doom, and depending on who wins, there definitely can be some gloom and doom. But we also need to talk about that the sun rises in the morning, and they're trying to make it midnight in America. Well, let's try to bring the light and make it morning in America, again, to coin an old political phrase. And that light and the light bringers are people like you. And so we need to shine that light, spread that light. And just like they sort of shared that light with you, that's what we all need to do, is talk about how this country will move closer to who it says it is by electing people like you, and how candidacies like yours that may not have happened, but that's happening now, are a testament to who we can be. And I say who we can be because that's the potential. Who we will be, that's the reality. And that's where we come in and cast that vote. That is the number one mission, is casting those folks. Give money. We need the money. She needs the money because gas is not cheap, right? It's not. And it's the fuel of the campaign. But let's bring some light. And Kamilah, keep sharing your light. Keep shining it bright.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And you know, Kamilah, and I've told you, I don't think I went to a single endorsement interview and didn't spend quite a bit of time talking about you. And then like, look at how we met, like in a space, and you guys invited me into your space, and you know, look at where we are, you know. Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember we first started our call. It was like during the pandemic, I think, like right when the pandemic was happening. I remember me and Tracy were talking to you, like you Facebooked me. It was like my first and only, and I'm going to tell you, I did not get on the Facebook when CCSD used to do the Facebook, because those comments, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be in jail looking at these comments. and I met you the first time and the last time I was on a Facebook chat about CCSD stuff. And then we talked, me, you, and Tracy, and then it was all history, trying to, you know, figure out what we were going to do to make change. But goodness
But
gracious,
look,
comments are off the chain.
your what, 6-year plan now, 5-year plan, 6-year plan is going like right down the road. And I'm incredibly proud of you and your commitment to your future. That when you decided to accomplish and move forward with things that you were, that you've done it. And I know it hasn't been easy, and here we are. And I'm looking forward to seeing you for the next 8 years on the dais. And then me texting you going, what in the absolute do they think they're doing right now?
Right. Thank you. And one thing that I want to mention, and I probably shouldn't even focus on this, but the trolls, keep doing what you're doing, because as you continue to troll, you're continuing to elevate me. And I love that. So keep doing that. And I think what is so absolutely interesting is that, some people are some people think they're paying attention, but they're really not. I have had numerous conversations around policy and some of the things that I'm interested in doing, in helping to shape the district. But I need people to also understand this is not a Kamilah show. This is not. Policy, strategy, solutions are driven by the people. And that's something that is very important to me. Like, yeah, I have my ideas and things that I didn't like experiencing as an advocate in the Clark County School District and working with students, families, teachers, support staff. But this is not a me show. I will say, hey, I didn't like how students with disabilities are treated. I think we need to have policy ideas. I think that we need to have more specialists who can work in the Clark County School District with students with disabilities. But then my question to my friends and people who are in the community is, but what do you think? What ideas do you think? Like, what am I missing? What am I not seeing? This is not me creating, the show. And there's definitely some things that are objectives for me. One, I want to ensure that we have a review and evaluation of all board policies. They need to be updated, but this is a work of the community, a work of students and all educational stakeholders. So for me to come and say, oh, we're going to do this, that, and the other, that's doing a disservice to the community who believes and is voting me in. A second thing go ahead, Anna.
So I've spoken to Emily, I mean, obviously a couple times, but one of the best things that I love, she said to me, like right off the bat. And so for those who don't know, Emily Stevens is out in District A. She made it through the primary. And the best thing that I love that she said to me, and she's like, Anna, she goes, I'm not going to sit here and promise you that everything I do is going to make you happy. Like if she wins, right? And I said, that's not what I'm looking for. I know that's not what the community is looking for. We're just looking for someone who listens and allows that continues to allow that participation and the input, and really valuing when that comes to the table, whether it comes via one person or it comes from 20 emails. Like, again, Kamilah, but most of the time there's not a lot of people who actually participate in the long-term road that the policies or other decisions can make and whatnot. So I did really love that she said that. And I'm like, I don't want you to make me happy every day, but I don't ever want you to sell out kids or our educators. That's just my bottom line. And we can be happy with the rest.
Exactly. And for the trolls out there, another thing, so as I'm listening to educators, they're not happy with the salary contract. It was very unequal. So that's a policy thing. That's a contractual element that I would like to advocate, bring up for reconsideration, so that our veteran teachers are compensated fairly in comparison to new teachers. So dropped another one on you. Another thing I'm going to drop on you, the communication between the superintendent. There's a policy about, it's SE 10, I believe, about communication between the superintendent and the board. The board is supposed to be informed. What we've witnessed, and as Anna can tell you, is that our board was rare. A few people on the board were rarely informed about processes of what was going on in the operations of the district. So
And
I
I'm
would,
sure they're sick of getting text messages or phone calls from me going, "Hey, did you know?" It was
and they
more
did
like
it.
it was like the Anna resource, and they would find out like from me that stuff was happening when they should have heard it from the district themselves.
Right. Exactly.
It's just disrespectful. It really is.
Absolutely.
And so I do have very high hopes that when we get a new board composition, that one of the first tasks that the new board takes on is immediately reviewing those governance and those board policies, and evaluating, even if it's a little bit at a time. But I think we can probably hit 3 or 4 right off the bat that we definitely know need revision.
Absolutely. So ding, 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 something else for you out there. Shaquilla.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment regarding what Ronnie always tells us is that the superintendent and the board of trustees serves at the behest of the people. So if you're on the board of the trustees, as Ronnie tells us, then you are an employee for the people. And we need people that we can trust. And just because a person may not be an official member of one of these right-wing conservative groups like Moms for Liberty doesn't mean that their values align with ours. So we got to be very conscientious about who we're voting in, who we're having conversations with, and who we're supporting, because a lot of them in the business and in these other organizations will say they're for the people and they're for our students, but they're really not. So we just have to be mindful of that, because at the end of the day, we're doing this for our children, and there's a lot of perpetrators out there.
Absolutely, for sure. Another thing that's a part of my agenda. So Joshua Peguero of News 8, he said, what are you going to do your first 100 days? So all the things that we spoke about here. And then another thing that's important to me is that the Clark County School District is very disconnected. We need to get with all of the departments within the Clark County School District, do an evaluation. We need to understand what's going on. What are some of the barriers? Let's develop some solutions and let's get to work. So there's a lot of policies and ideas that I have that are grounded in the challenges that our community stakeholders have been having. Okay. And for the individuals that want to, and my team always tells me, Kamilah, stay focused on what you're doing, stay focused. But I'm just going to say this, I'm going to move on. That want to go out of their way to discredit me for whatever reason, for your hatred or whatever, and jealousy or whatever, keep doing what you're doing because you're elevating me. And I thank you for that. So I'm going to move on. Because all of my, you can always go back into my conversations, into my Facebook Lives, and listen to some of the ideas that I have and what we've been talking. It's there. It's public record. Unlike other people who they don't get out here and talk because they don't really want you to know how they think. I'm out here sharing my ideas and thoughts where you can always come back to all of these Facebook Lives and check me on anything. And let me go ahead and shout out to Dr. Hamilton, joined us on the Facebook Live, and he said that those are excellent first step policies to review the board policies. One thing I wanted to mention tonight, there are some new things that are happening with the Clark County School Districts. I wanted to get some of your thoughts around it. I know safety is a big deal. I wanted to show this video really quick of one of the safety measures because it has been a topic of conversation for, what is it? Okay, let me show this video really. Is this it? Nope, that's the cell phone pouch. The weapons detection. Nope, where is it at? Is this the one? That's the cell phone. There's a new weapons detection. Is this it right here? system. So let me show you what this is really quick. I'm gonna play a video. I wanna do something new on Facebook Live. So let me share my screen really quick. Play this, share, and let me make this bigger.
Safety is a top priority at the Clark County School District. That's why the district is further enhancing security measures at campuses for the 2024-25 school year with new weapons detection systems. This security enhancement will be used in place of the metal detectors previously used at large-scale athletic events, including varsity basketball and football games. Additionally, this technology will also be used for random administrative screenings at middle schools and high schools, as previously utilized in prior years. The new system will allow screenings to occur faster than using traditional metal detectors. CCSD continuously looks for ways to improve our school safety and keep our students and staff safe.
All right, so I know that, you know, the topic of metal detectors and things like that are very controversial. So what do you all think about those new weapon detection? And you know what? I want to know if they consulted
Let me
with.
jump in. Let me jump in real quick.
Yeah,
because
go ahead, Shaquilla.
number one, we are not running, well, they are running a school to prison pipeline, but besides that, how many millions of dollars have they spent on these so-called security systems instead of spending millions of dollars on wraparound services, on counselors, on social workers, on staff, on addressing the issues as it is. And I don't like the word random screening because it sounds very biased to me. It sounds like they're going to be using that very haphazardly. So just because they put on a nice little video and have metal detectors or whatever those things are in our schools doesn't mean that we're going to be safer, because they're trying to put a Band-Aid on the problem without addressing all the elements of the problem, which is our students and our staff need more than just one level of security. Security also happens in feeling safe with the people you go to school with, which cannot be addressed with metal detectors.
And also working at the schools, there are so many doors. And if you lock all of the doors, if a kid knocks on the back door, another kid's gonna open that door. So that's not gonna keep guns out either. Because I've done hall duty and you hear somebody knocking and there's 15 kids opening the door for them. So that's not gonna keep guns out.
I went to high school in LA back in the 90s, right after the Rodney King riots. And so they kind of used the riots to walk the campus down like a little further. And they would do these random, so we had metal detectors, but they would do these random searches. I was targeted heavily, profiled, because the dean knew my dad smoked marijuana. So I got randomly searched twice a day for my entire senior year. Sorry. But yeah, they're right, because they're just, they say random. And what the dean used to do back then is walk into class, take the roster, I'm this old, right? They got it like on a Scantron and they were numbered. And so I would see him, he would go down the list, find where I was. And then if I was an odd or an even number, then he would just call that. And we all had to leave the class and go get randomly searched with a canine dog and everything. That was how, randomly untargeted it was. So I can only imagine, I just can only imagine. And I've spent quite a little bit of time out at Arborview this past school year. And you can ask Jashante, that school has its own issues that are just on another planet. But they feel it's appropriate to staff that school with, I don't know, 5 or 6 CCSD PD. You know what I mean? Or like they're permanently there, parked in front of the school, in the campus. I could go back and try to find how much just like in the last 2 years that they have or haven't spent on counseling or wraparound services. But they've been deferring a lot of that to like communities and schools and Boys Town to supplement, because they didn't save the money, or like we spent a lot of ESSER money in it, but I don't believe that they keep it within our general operating budget to be as funded as it should be. And then Kamilah, you should probably talk to Dr. Katie Dockweiler, because, and Dr. Cosgrove can tell you about this too, but they passed SB 71 or 72 2 sessions ago, and they never fully funded it. And that was for social workers and counselors and all of those things, psychologists and like whatnot. So that was what, almost 6 years ago now that they passed the law for it and never funded it. So in addition to veteran teachers getting, adequate compensatory pay, we need to get them to fund that bill too.
Yeah. Wow. I think for me, my question is, are these going to be in every school or select? And then, what you all are saying, I don't know. It's about to be a whirlwind.
But this was their Band-Aid because of the shooting at DO. Remember, we had the shooting during the football game last year at DO, and I think there was one other one. This was their Band-Aid on it for the district to try to make people have a false sense of security to come and attend, our sports. I mean, if any of you have been to one of, our sports, they bring large crowds, lots of children, well, young adults. Sorry, Eli's saying that. Especially at the high school level, you have like parents who just drop their kids off for the game.
Yeah.
And then the only adult supervision is the staff that have volunteered to be there, to man the game. And I don't think it's fair that the adults who choose to volunteer for the sporting activities, they're not babysitters, right? They're there for concessions, they're there for cleanup, they're there for a lot of reasons. They're not there, to babysit.
Interesting.
And we still know that there's every psychologist, it's like one to 1,500 kids. I don't know if that's the same statistic, but that's about, so that could be
Pretty
two middle
high.
schools, right? That could be 2 middle schools. That could be, even if it's 1 high school. Could you imagine being responsible for the well-being of 1,500 kids every single day? It's impossible.
Right.
You can't do it. And I don't expect them to. It's an unrealistic expectation of a professional. Maybe we could find one to come on here and talk about that, because I can't imagine how their soul and their heart feels, that they're out there doing the very best that they can with, everything that's going on. And,
Who should we invite?
like a school psychologist.
Oh, okay.
Or the counselor, well, because again, like anyways, like we can get into that offline, but like counselor, school psychologist, things like that, because their caseload is unmanageable. It's unbearable.
And Anna, for the record, high school counselors are mostly academic counselors.
I that's what I was going to say. We could talk about off the record, because I know at different grade levels.
Sorry.
No, because it's a technicality, right? Where like in middle school, the counselors are like academics, but right, you're very much right. When you start moving into the secondary education, they are there for that. And like when I was volunteering over at Woodbury, even if I had a kid like on my list in the truancy program, and like they needed help with something like with their schedule or their calendars or whatnot, like I literally would have to pester their counselor to put them like in their range, you know what I mean? Or like, hey, this kid needs help, do you think you can call them in the next week or two and help them with this? And then educating the youth that you're your own best advocate. If you need help with something, keep going, keep pushing to the counselor every lunch break, stop in. Hey, I need to talk to you. That is kind of a hard thing, to especially the middle school level, is to get the kids to advocate for themselves. But we can't keep moving. I think the point of all of it is, no matter what job you have on a campus, we can't keep operating at the level that we are, and it's safe for anyone. That's the class sizes, the caseloads, the responsibilities. Like it's, I don't think any other industry expects this much of a professional and treats them and pays them the way that they do. I don't see it.
Right. So, goodness gracious, there's so many pieces to unravel. So many pieces to unravel. We've actually hit our time. I think we had a really good conversation, kind of going with the flow. One thing I wanted to say, Nevada Black Women for Harris are organizing. We have a Facebook group. So if you want to join the Facebook group, please make sure that you do that. We're also having a brunch on Sunday. So I will send out the link. I think I say this like every time, and then I forget to put out the information. So I need to make sure that I do this. There's a brunch happening on Sunday. After Vice President Harris and her running mate will be here on Saturday. Y'all, guess what? I have some seats, okay? So if you would like to join me and my group at to see Kamala and her running mate, which is Waltz, right? I think they picked Waltz. That's what I've been seeing all day today. So they'll be here on Saturday. I have about 10 seats left. So if you would like to be in the VIP section, now listen, y'all, make sure we're flexible, because they say one thing and then things happen, but that's what I was told that I would have. So please, if you would like to join us, you are welcome to be my guest. We're going to have a great time. My assumption is that our group will be together. So y'all gonna see me screaming and hollering, and I love a good rally. Oh my gosh, rallies are so fun. So I have 10 seats left if you would like to be a part of my group to go see Kamala Harris on Saturday. It's going to be a good time. We're going to celebrate. We're going to get energized and ready to vote. Also, the Black Women for Nevada, the Nevada Black Women for Harris, are also highlighting Black women on the ballot. So I will give you information for the event that is coming up for that. And I think that is it. Anybody else have any announcements?
So I want to go back to this art review situation.
Okay.
The next question is, what are we going to do? Because I know personally, when I see or think of Confederate flags, I think of slavery, the Ku Klux Klan, and white supremacist terror. So that is definitely not in line with Clark County School District policies, and that's not in line with our values. So my question is, what action steps are we going to take?
And I'm not sure, when I was subbing there a couple years ago, the principal would be in the parking lot every day, pulling them down and fighting with parents and fighting with kids. I don't know if that's still a problem now. Hopefully they got it straightened out. But considering it's about 3 blocks from where I live, it will probably be a continuous problem with some of the people in our neighborhood. So, but they
The bigger problem I have with that school revolves around their special education department. That's why.
That's separate from Confederate flags.
Well,
Yeah.
I personally haven't seen that when I'm there, but
But I'm addressing the comment that Ms. Gwen put up. That's what we're addressing.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
And like I said, it may have improved. A couple of years ago when I was subbing there, that was, as a dean, that was one of the things we dealt with. And that is I don't know if you remember what was it called, the 3Ks or the 311 boys and all that. The neighborhood's getting better, but the neighborhood was really divided down the middle with a lot of that going on, especially when Arborview first opened. So I have to call my buddy that works over there to see if it's still going on. But when when someone mentioned that Arborview was a big mess, I was like, that could be part of the problem.
Yeah,
So,
again,
go ahead, Anna.
Oh, I was gonna say, I've only been over there for special education stuff. So again, I haven't witnessed that this past school year. Not to say it is or isn't. It's just, I haven't seen it when I'm there. But if you find out that it is, would you let Kamilah know, and then she'll let me know, and we'll get a special investigator on it.
Okay, sure will.
So what do you all think about, and this will be like the what we're gonna end on. What do you all think about like zero policy for hate? And it would be like automatic expulsion. What are your thoughts? What is the consequence for that type of behavior?
So I'm not a big fan of zero tolerance because zero tolerance gives no flexibility.
Uh-huh.
So, and sick societies create sick children, sick people. And the sicker the societies are, the sicker the children are going to be. And so what we see in schools like, and it's not just Arbor View, I go riding my bike around Shadow Ridge sometimes, and there's plenty of Confederate flags, there's plenty of Trump flags. I was just driving around in 131, and there's plenty of Trump flags, there's American flags upside down. There's starting to be more of them. And so I would expect that we'll start seeing more incidents in schools because children magnify what they see adults doing. So whether it's in Arbor View, Shadow, and any of the other schools. So I'm not for the zero tolerance, but there has to be a policy on what is hate. And so as an example, in Germany, they're not allowed to fly swastikas. In America, people have Confederate flags, and Confederate flags represent exactly what Shaquila says that they represent. And where I live not too far from either one of those schools. And I feel like I'm back in the Middle East. Because in the Middle East, when I was there in the desert fighting for this country, they would have pickup trucks, technicals with machine guns mounted with their flags. What I see in America, I don't see the technicals on them, but I see the trucks and I see the flags, and it represents the same thing as terror. I have 3%ers that live around me. I have Proud Boys, and who knows who else. So every time I go out for a walk, I feel like I'm walking in enemy territory. But we allow that in this country under freedom of speech. But everything is not free under freedom of speech. So maybe we need to address the symbols of hate with the rebel flag or stars and bars as a symbol of hate. And that in itself, maybe we need to address what it means and how it's tolerated in schools. And it's not just for the schools in the Northwest. At West Preparatory, they had them there too. So it's not limited to one area. It is something that's endemic within the Clark County School District that needs to be rooted out, meaning pulled out by the roots, if there is a way to do it.
It's all the way in Henderson too. My 11-year-old is mixed race, and my neighbor 3 doors down, his children are empowered to call him a monkey. And I finally texted the mom. I was like, dude, if I find out your son calls my son that like one more time, dude, like I'm gonna meet you in the street. Like it's getting old, right?
So I got a question. So this goes back when we were doing the LAVAPSI meetings years ago. And there was a law that I believe 1865, but no hashtag, had helped push in the assembly that was supposed to deal with hate speech, hate crime, and those types of things, racism. Well, I'm told that law is been enacted in the CCSD. And Sister Kamilah, that was supposed to be the zero tolerance law. But there doesn't seem to be zero tolerance as it's proliferating throughout the school district. Maybe that's something that we can look into to see what is the actual status of it. So that's the law, but how are the schools or the school district implementing it? Is it a universal implementation, or is it left up to the individual principals of the schools?
Akiko, Kamilah, you got to invite Akiko in. She would be able to give us the rundown on all of that, because I know that they're still inundated every day with phone calls of instances of racism in our schools. And her and Jashante, you guys know, are pretty much frontline warriors when it comes to those calls. So I'd love to hear that update. And I don't know if you guys, yeah, I don't know if you guys saw Jashante's announcement, but she took a job and she's going to be working at the behavioral school this year.
Yes.
I think that's a really great match for her.
And I will also say along that line, it's kind of, some of those kids are so, for lack of a better word, they're so slick at what they do. It's very, very hard to pinpoint them down on it being a hate crime. And and I can't think of a situation, but you know it, but you can't prove it.
Well, part of the thing is that it's like the culture of racism has been embedded and perpetuated by many people. And when I say that, just because someone doesn't call you the N-word doesn't mean that they're not being racist. Because if you are complacent with your friends and family who have those kinds of ideas and actions, then you are perpetuating that system. And in order for us to address that, again, we had to get our communities, our parents, our schools engaged. We had to hold everybody accountable. As far as policy goes, the policies has to be cut clear. And Rodney did mention this before. When you have zero tolerance, then you could have these schools and these staff and these principals taking out our kids at their discretion. And I worked at a behavior school, so I know about it. So we had to be very deliberate about the language. We have to make sure that we are not leaving loopholes for these so-called slicksters. We have to hold these administrators accountable, because these administrators, well, they're administrators, not leaders. But these administrators are getting our tax dollars and they're getting paid to do a job, and they need to do the job appropriately, and we need to hold them accountable and hold them to a higher standard. And that's how we're going to address those issues. But if we just sit back and talk all day like this community usually does, talk, and no action, we are continually going to get our children put in these positions and our staff put in these positions. We can't just sit in the armchair and talk and not do anything. That does not solve our issues.
Yeah.
I think we're doing an amazing job for the kiddo at Durango. I think this past year or more that the community has stood behind him and his family, we've done an amazing job trying to get some type of justice for them. I'm very proud of everyone involved in that, but that's only one. And that's only because all the kids had it on their cell phone and were able to share it while it was happening for us, to see it where nobody could be slick about it. I know that that's a huge concern that the students have with this cell phone policy. I spoke with the young lady who started that petition. For those unfamiliar, an incoming freshman started like one of those change.org petitions about the new cell phone policy, and she's garnered over 12,000 signatures against it. And when I spoke with her, one of their biggest concerns was that a lot of the time the kids use their phones to record things like this. And this is how they reported. And they're afraid of not having their phones and something happen, and then nobody does anything about what happened because nobody had their phones to show people what happened.
Yeah, that's going to be a whole deep conversation. And I was going to show the clips about those pouches as well, but we have reached our time because, and one, because as a person who teaches in class, them cell phones interrupted my whole lesson. Interrupted my whole lesson. They texting, they on the YouTube and all these things. So I think we do need to have a robust conversation around what the common ground is for that. And I know that some teachers do, you don't, we can talk more about the pouch or whatever, but, just put your cell phone to the side or whatever. But anywho, we can have a more robust conversation because I am interested to hear what the students' thoughts are about it. So that is a really good point. And then there's also the side from the teachers. Like, we're struggling to get students to focus when they're on their cell phones. I don't know, Shaquilla, what is your thought?
Well, yes, that is definitely a big issue. And again, like Rodney said, and like we all have said before, the pouches are not going to solve the issue. I think that's a so-called nice first step, but again, the district is spending millions of dollars on these things, and it's not really addressing the issues. The issues are a lot of these children, they have cell phones in kindergarten and first grade. So by the time they get to middle school and high school, they've already been so conditioned.
Did we lose
Shaquilla,
Shaquilla?
we can't hear you, Shaquilla.
Guys can't hear me. You guys can't hear me.
Yes, we hear you now.
Well, the issue is, again, like I said, our children are being given these cell phones at kindergarten, first grade, and so by the time they get to middle school and high school, they're addicted to it. So we really have to have a community conversation about healthy ways to use this technology, because if they are taught and if it's enforced at home or supported at home as far as when to use it and when not to use it, then we can have that translate into the campus, into the school, you know. And I do agree that sometimes having a cell phone is great because you can see what's going on if something is recorded. But again, if we're teaching a lesson, your phone is going off, you're texting, you're watching the game, you have your earphones in. This goes back to our community involvement. It goes back to parentalship. This goes back to us paying attention to our children, and being a good parent or being an active parent is going to allow our children to know, like, this is not the time or the place to use the cell phone. So we really have to get our families involved. We really have to get the community involved. We really have to support one another, because that's how we address these issues. And yes, like you said, Kamilah, get our children voices in too, because we have to do this as a team, you know, like you said, no decisions about us without us in the room. So
yeah. Well,
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, my students, I was subbing some class. They did, and I'm not gonna say this just in case somebody's phone will do it, but let's say, you know how we have those little Siri and Alexa? This day, and I'm like, why are y'all doing stuff when I come up in here? They was like, Kamilah, call 911. And their phone did it. So my students called 911, and I'm like, I had to call the office, like, hey, my students just called 911. Like, they literally called them, the people called back. So I'm just letting you know, when they come, that's why. So so it's all kinds of foolishness going on with these phones, and I couldn't believe it. And then it was just a hot mess. I was like, they love messing with me when I come into the school building. But anywho, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Did anyone have any last words before we log off for today?
I
Hey,
do.
shout outs to Assemblywoman Thomas for joining us. She had to jet out a little early, so appreciate her coming on.
Okay, I just want to defend the administrators, some administrators. I can't talk for all, but being an ex-administrator, when you're at a high school and they got 3 to 3,500 kids and you got 3 deans, you know, you stay busy and you put in about 10 hours on the average day if you try to do your job worthwhile. So, and then you hear different stories, and when the parent comes in, it's a whole different story also. So when you talk about setting things that are automatic suspension or whatever, it's really hard to do that. And that's a whole different conversation, maybe later.
No, that's good input, because we do need it from all sides. And that's how we're going to improve it, is when we hear what impacts it. Because sometimes when you try to fix one thing without having input from different stakeholders, you can actually make it worse. So we definitely need to have more input. You know, we are coming to we actually exceeded our time. This last Friday at the gathering, we talked about Project 2025, and there was an education section. Project 2025 has a whole education section. Hopefully we'll be able to do a show on that with some bullet points because it would affect us right here in the CCSD if they put those things in effect. We do have the Facebook group that's going. So if you guys still have things to say, if you come up with some things, please put it in that Facebook chat so we can join in later on and answer it, whether that's tonight or tomorrow night, and also to give us topics that we can discuss or that we can reattack on our next Tuesday show. Did anybody else have any closing remarks before Kamilah gives us her contact information and closes us out?
All right. So thank you everyone for joining. We absolutely just enjoy our time together. We went over today. We started a little bit late, but listen, you can always shut it off when you have something to do. We're having a fundraiser. Listen, they're hosting a fundraiser for me on Sunday at the WSO, and the tickets are how much?
$10.
$10. So contact Mr. Rodney. What information? I'm going to put links and stuff so we can link so they can contact you. Listen, fundraisers are so important to my campaign, you all. Let me tell you what my goal is. My goal is to raise $60,000. The reason I need to raise $60,000 is because I need to educate the community about my opponents, who they are. Because people don't know who Moms for Liberty, they don't know about them, they don't understand their agenda, they don't understand their objectives. So I need money to be able to send out mailers to people about me, about the race, and just educate people about why the stakes are high in our school board race for District E, all right? So, and then big shout out, y'all, as we're talking, I got 2 emails. So Leo is the director of the Nevada director of Make the Road Action. He wants to come on the show, y'all.
Let's
He's
bring
talking
him.
about if he makes the cut. I'm like, no, you made the cut, sir. So come on. Leo's going to come on, and he's been an educational advocate. So he's going to talk about some of the work that he's doing that's specific to our emergent bilinguals or ELL students. So, I love to have that conversation. So he's going to come sometime in September. Remember, next week we have a bye week because we're going to support the fundraiser for Senator Flores, Assemblyman De Silva, and Commissioner McCurdy. So we won't be on live. Then next week, and then after that, I got another email for a young lady who wants to come on. I'm hoping I get her name right, but Miss Gant, she's going to come on and talk about early childhood, okay? And then the following week, we have Robin, who's going to come on and talk about adverse childhood trauma. So we have a packed schedule. Hopefully our guests will be able to make it. If they're not able to come on, then we're still going to roll as we do. So thank you so much for those who want to participate. We want you, we need you, we value your voice and your experience. As I'm going to continue to say, me running for this office is about bringing us all back to the center of education and making sure that all of our voices are valued and that we're working together to transform our public education system. This is for our students and for all the people who work with our students. My name is Kamilah Bywaters. I'm running for the Board of School Trustees in District E, and let's win this seat, y'all. Because why? It's our turn now. And I mean that. I mean that.
Let's make history.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.